Fantastic. Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm really, really excited to see you guys here. And yeah, I've got so much to tell you. It's been an amazing experience. I thought first what I wanted to do is I just wanted to just take a moment just to come together and kind of like drop back into our hearts so that we can all get out of the day just for a moment. I know some people are morning, some people are evening, but just like to get yourself back into your heart. So I'm just going to ask you to take a second with me and just take a few deep breaths in, bring yourself back into your body here. Close your eyes and just allow yourself to just come into this space right now. And so that we allow ourselves to be present here tonight together. So we allow ourselves to receive whatever it is that you need from this talk that I'm giving tonight, and just allow yourself to be in your heart. And just really the one thing that I feel has been more prominent than anything is this ability for us to keep our hearts open. And I'm going to speak about that tonight. And just tonight, allow yourself to let your heart open to receive. There's so much that's waiting to be received by every single one of us. So we just give ourselves permission tonight to receive in our time together here. Te arashe noloshwa eresengia te aliamate kareya. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, awesome. Okay, so what I am going to do is I have made a presentation and like with pictures and all the good stuff. So I'm going to put it on and then I'm going to try and share my screen with you guys. So I'm going to just hold on and let's see if this works. Okay, and then I should be able to share my screen. So just, if I can find the button, share screen. There you go, cool. And there you go, and right. Okay, can you guys see my screen? Okay, thank you, Laura. Participants can now see your application. Okay, fantastic. Right. Okay, so it's just so that I remember and don't stray off course. This is basically more for me than it is for you. Okay, so I'm going to start at the beginning. So last year, probably around July, August, like more towards August, I had this feeling that I needed to go to Ecuador. It was the weirdest thing. I was like busy on Instagram and I saw this post and I was like, whoosh, I have to go to Ecuador. And I was a bit like, okay, I've just come back from Turkey. I've already been to Egypt this year. Like I had no other plans to travel except with my family on family holidays for the rest of the year. I wasn't going to do any more trips. And this thing just like, it was just inside of me. And I've learned by now that every time I have a feeling and it doesn't want to go away, it's something that I need to look into. So I was like, okay, this is fine. Thanks, universe. This is lovely. Like Ecuador is really far away. Plus I've spent all my money, like my travel money for the year and some, and like, I'm not doing this. So if you want me to go, somehow you have to make all of this work. And I'm not going to increase my client load or anything like that. If I'm meant to go on this trip, everything will align so that I can go on this trip. So in other words, like, you know, family will be okay, money will come, I'll find the right trip, all of it. And I'm just like, cool. So I set my intentions and I kind of like, I went into that space where I went like, okay, show me now what we can do. Like, let's see how good this can get. And so I set the intentions and I was very clear about the fact that I want to go, how much money I wanted, all of that stuff, because I had started looking at stuff and I saw something and there was a tour on and it was really expensive. It was about, I think it was about $10,000. And I was just like, I don't have $10,000 right now to spend on a trip to Ecuador. There's no way, it's not going to happen. But anyway, I thought, okay, I'm going to set my intention for that amount. And then I need my tickets, my spending money, blah, 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 blah. And so it's cool. So I just leave it. And then eventually I'm like, okay, things are starting to happen. I can feel like the energy in myself like building up. And I sent the message to the people who was running a retreat in January in Ecuador. And they said to me, oh no, they've actually like changed it now. So they're going to make the retreat in July. And I was like, no, I have to go in January. When I got this message, it was like January, Ecuador has to happen. So I was away at a conference, and I was like all by myself that night. And like that morning when I woke up, I'm like, it's early, it's 5 o'clock. I'm like, oh, let me quickly get onto Google. I've got some time before I need to go to the stone circle for the next part of the presentation. So I'm like, Google, Google, Google. And all of a sudden, I find this shaman portal healing expedition in January. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I start looking at it, and it's like really cool. And the guy who's running it, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm like, his energy feels good. This like agenda sounds really interesting. You learn about Andean shamanism, like all of these cool things. And I'm like, okay, this sounds like it could work. Plus, all of a sudden, it's half the price of the other two I was looking at. So I'm like, this is even better. So everything's starting to kind of get together. And I'm like, okay, I really like this. And it just felt really good. And it was a really nice tour as well. We'd get to go to the Andean mountains, and we'd get to go into the jungle. So I was like, okay, fabulous. So now I just need the money basically to make this happen. So I had on the Friday received an email from my accountant, and I hadn't opened it because I kind of forgot about it. Monday, I get like back to work, back in, start opening up my emails. And as I open up the email, there's a massive refund, which is exactly the amount that this expedition is. And I'm like, oh my goodness, well, this is really convenient. Here's the money for the trip. So I was like, guys, you got to be kidding me. So cool. I'm like, I think I'm going to message him and ask if I can join. And you had to basically apply because it's for people who do healing work and stuff. And so I emailed Itzhak, the man who was running the tour, and he said, no, it would be lovely to have me, and I'm more than welcome to come. And so that's how it all started, because I was just like, I wasn't intending any of this, and the universe made it happen. And then my husband had gifted me some money earlier in the year, which covered my flights, and then I won some money on what you call premium bonds here in the UK, which was the exact amount of money that I needed for all my spending money. And I was just like, okay, this is it. I think the universe has shown me now that I really don't have to worry, and I've got everything covered for this tour. So everything worked out perfectly, and on the 2nd of January, I basically arrived in Ecuador, and it was amazing. So up to that point, everything was plain sailing. The only thing that happened was that I ended up getting a really, really bad cough about 3 days before I left. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't want to get sick. I need to go there. And I thought it was really interesting because the last time I traveled to Peru in 2018, I also had issues with my lungs, and some stuff came up then. And I actually needed to get a little inhaler to take with me. And I was like, how does this work that now my lungs are messing up the second time going to Peru? So I thought, okay, to Ecuador, and this is now a second time South America lungs again. So I was like, this is intriguing. So I'm just going to sit with this, and I'm going to go on the trip anyway. So anyway, I arrived on the 2nd, and it was really like amazing, so beautiful. Like the minute you fly in there over the Andes Mountains with the big volcanoes and everything, it just felt really amazing. And the people were beautiful, and just the local people so friendly. I got through customs easily. Everything just like worked out properly. And that night I arrived and I met the whole tour group. Now it was really amazing because we were 15 people in total, and people from all over. We had like people from the UK, people from Australia and America, and it was really just one of those groups where you could feel that the energies matched. It was one of those groups where you just felt like everyone needed to be there together, and it was really, really like it felt just right. So we started our tour off the next day after I kept my poor roommate up the whole night with my coughing, and she was just the most amazing person who was so sweet and so kind and so compassionate, and didn't moan once whilst Yolandi was busy coughing at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And she really looked after me. And so the next day we started our tour, and we moved to what we call Amaru. It's in Mindo in the cloud forest, so in the Andean mountains. And on our way there, we stopped to go and see the condors. So that was one of the things that I really wanted to experience. The condors are like really, their numbers are very low at the moment, and they're also a very holy bird for the people down there. Okay, so that's kind of like their emblem. That's the thing. Like America will be the eagles, and like the condors are down there, right? Like they are the birds, the holy birds, basically. So we went to go and see them, and I think, oh goodness, we saw about 5 or 6 of them flying free there, and it was really amazing. We were at this beautiful restaurant, and part of the whole experience was that Itzhak, he was our trainer, our shaman, the man who traveled with us. He would tell us these stories and basically like teach us all sorts of things as we were going, as part of the shamanism training as well. So he started to speak about the prophecy of Pachacuti. So I wanted to read you guys this because this summed it up so beautifully. So it says, when the eagle of the north and the condor of the south fly together, the earth will awaken. And that just hit me in the heart, because this prophecy is all about the people from the north coming down to the south to come and get the wisdom again from the indigenous people and use it to basically create peace on earth again. And for me, that was really, really powerful, because I was like, I feel like I've been called to these lands. I'm trusting my intuition. I felt like something was drawing me back here to come and speak to the indigenous people. So one of the things I've really been focusing on with Project Earthwork and all of that is like to start tapping into the indigenous wisdom again, to start listening to what the elders have got to say to us, especially Westerners, especially people from the north, because these people are holding the energy of like pure heart energy. Okay. And us people in the north, we are the people with the minds. We work from our mind, we work from our intellect and our headspace, and just very detached from our hearts. And what's happening right now is that there's this massive awakening happening where people are starting to listen to their hearts again. So we're being drawn back into these beautiful indigenous cultures, into their way of healing, of listening, of just like connecting with the earth. And that just felt so divine. So when Itzhak started speaking about this, it was just like my whole heart was full. And I was like, this is exactly why I'm here, because this prophecy needs to be fulfilled. And this prophecy has been there for a very, very long time. And the Incan people and the people of the South Americas have gone through so much with the Spanish coming in and conquering them, and millions of these people died. I saw horrific statistics about, 56 million people in the Americas died within 100 years of the Spaniards coming there. And this was from disease and from all of that. That wasn't even from, wars and those type of things. So it's like that civilization, those ancient indigenous people, they literally like were decimated, by the Westerners coming down, by the people from the north coming down. And now it's time. So this period of time, the Pachacuti 500 years, was coming to an end in the 90s, okay? And at that time, there's now a new 500-year span coming. And this is the time when things are reversing. This is the time when the world is being asked to step into that space where we start to revere the indigenous cultures and what they're teaching us and what we're learning from them. So basically now what's happening is a lot of the elders from the south there are coming together. They've been doing this for years now, like setting the intentions, starting this work. And it's kind of now, it's time for us Westerners to start waking up to this. Okay, there's a lot that we can offer and that we can bring as well, because our intellect, the way that we do, certain things, etc., that does help, but we need to marry these things. So this work now is really about marrying the head and the heart together. Within ourselves, we can start there. So if we can get our mind and our heart to start working together, that's already a fulfilling of this prophecy. And then taking that out into the world. So moving into that sphere feels like such an important thing. And that was one of the things from this tour that really, I feel like I'm going to keep that in my heart for a very long time, because it has been shown to me how I can start working deeper with my heart. And that is what I want to bring into my teachings, into the stuff that I share with people, the retreats that we're running, all of that, because it is about dropping into here and connecting these two so that we can basically bring back this awakening that is waiting for all of us. Okay, so that was basically the start of the tour. We saw these amazing condors and got these beautiful teachings, and then we ended up in Amaru. So Amaru is in the Mindo Cloud Forest, and it was just like a little piece of heaven. It was like right down this valley, away from everything. There's no roads. It's just like this little dirt track that you go on forever into this place. And we had a really beautiful setup there where we had all our bedrooms. Me and my roommate shared. We had some people next to us, more people in the house, and then a beautiful, what they call a maloka. So it's a big round building that's on stilts. And the picture on the left there is basically from the balcony there where you look out over the forest. So you have this high stilted round building with glass windows everywhere, and you just look out over the beautiful forest there. And this building is where we did all our like ceremonies, where we trained, where we learned everything that we learned, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. So then when you walk down the valley, you come to this beautiful river right here, which is really powerful and like rough and just like running through these huge mountains. And we were able to swim in there, and me loving my cold swimming was obviously in there all the time. And it was just absolutely gorgeous. And that was like also a replacement for bathing some days, just to be in that beautiful cold water. And yeah, so the guys have built a beautiful sanctuary there and called Amaru. So I will be sharing some of the details and the links of these places so you can check it out. And people go there for conferences, people go there for like retreats, all of that. So it was just such a beautiful space, and really felt really like held there. So Paige and Chris, who ran the place, we had the most amazing food, and like the staff who was there like working, it was just really beautiful. And also just the fauna, the flora, like you really feel like you're part of, you starting to feel like you're part of everything, right? So I don't know about you guys, but I do find like when I look at my garden, it's all very, someone's planted this, someone's planted that. The minute that you step into the jungle, it's like this sensation of all of this stuff is just growing. All of this stuff is just literally coming out of Mother Earth, and she has meticulously planned where every single little bit of this needs to go, right? There's no architect there who's going, or landscape who's going, this plant goes there, that one there, we put some grass here. She's just making this happen, right? Like this ecosystem that she's put together has got the right amount of insects, the right amount of nutrients, the right amount of plants and dead leaves and da da da. And you just start to really get into this space because there's no noise, there's no phones, there's no TV, nothing's happening. So you start looking, you start feeling into nature, you start experiencing it, and you start opening up your eyes and you're going, oh my goodness, this is the most intelligent being that we are living on top of, this being that is literally like pushing up all of these plants every single day, and everything works, everything is knitted together perfectly. And we just don't see that every day. We're so disconnected from the magic of nature and how it all feels. And that for me was one of the big things that I came back with. It's like, I need to get back in tune with seeing the magic around me in the soil, in the plants, in the trees, and all of that. Because we look at it and we go, oh my God, that's so pretty. But we don't look at the beautiful intelligence that runs through all of that as well. So we then started our training, which was really cool. So it was basically a week-long training of like just how shamans do energy clearing. Okay, so part of the Andean shamanism is that they perform a ritual called Olympia, and basically what happens is they work with your energy field and they clear your energy field of any negative energies, etc. And they also read your energy field. Okay, so we were taught how to do readings for people using eggs, and you can use eggs to clear your energy, and then you read the eggs. So you can tell people things about themselves by looking at how an egg looks in water once you've broken it up. We did candle readings, which was amazing, where you will take the candle and rub it across your entire body, and then once you light the candle, you can actually read the flames of the candle. So this for me was also interesting because these are all things I'd never ever done or experienced before. And they use natural things like plants to actually clear your energy with. They use stones to take negative energy out of your field as well. And then very like a whole load of different like liquids and things like that to clear your field as well, and a lot of gazing into your energy as well. So it was such an awesome experience to learn exactly how to do this, the steps that they take. And it's something I think I would never even have thought that I would like get involved in, right? Shamanism was one of the last things on my mind when I even like I haven't even thought about it. It was literally not even in my field of like thought. And then when I got there, I'm like, oh my God, the teachings are so similar to the stuff that I believe in, like the like working with the elements, da 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 da. And so the similarities between shamanism and some of the things that like my spiritual practices are like this, and I'm like, oh my goodness, they, you know, their reverence for the sun and how they work with Mother Earth, and how they also believe that we are connected to the earth and to the sun, and all these beautiful things that I believe myself. So it was really lovely to see how all our our ideas and our thoughts about life is so similar, even though we live in different hemispheres, right? Like the things that we feel about in life, it's like it is similar. There's always some threads of like connection and everything running through there, which is really beautiful. So these are some pictures just of the Maloka. Itzhak is there with the big pile of leaves. So you literally use that to like clean someone's energy. So you'll be hitting the person with the plants, and depending on how stuck the energy is, they will hit you harder. So some of the boys got a real like big hitting session of each other, but it was really interesting because the way your energy field feels once you've had the plants around you is really incredible. And I was like, you know, you like, because I'm quite sensitive, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can actually feel the shifts. I can actually feel like when you're rubbing the egg on your body, you could feel the energy because the egg would become denser as you were rubbing the energy on someone's body. So I was just like completely blown away by the shamanism aspect here. And it was really, really beautiful to just learn these things. Oh, okay. Sorry, I see you guys have got a whole lot of chats here. Okay. Did they smudge? Oh, sorry. I didn't see. Let me check. Okay. Uh, okay, sorry guys, I'm just catching up here. Um, did they smudge there? Yes, Terry, they did use they used sage to do the smudging as well. And those were really amazing. So like, you know, like that's something I think a lot of us do as well. I think just from my perspective on the smudging, you know, here in the UK, like getting white sage and stuff, because it is now so you know, such an issue, and we're literally decimating all of the fields and everything that is indigenous. You know, like start looking maybe, you know, as people here, like how can I use mugwort? So in the UK, we've got so much mugwort, right? Like we've got like immense amounts of mugwort. In the States, they grow mugwort. In like Europe, there's mugwort. So if we can start using our own local things to do the smudging and stop like breaking down the ecosystems of other countries, just those are just things that really like stuck with me as well. Because I really want to get out of that habit of just going and buying a big bundle of sage when there's like all of this issues around sage these days and stuff. Even if it is, you know, certified and blah blah blah, let's rather like try and use our local things that we've got. So speak to the elders around wherever you're living. If you're in South Africa, what is it that people use there to do clearing? Like here by me, I'm going to use like mugwort for my clearing and stuff like that. So just like have a bit of a looky and see what feels good. Okay, European green sage and mugwort, exactly, that's awesome. I love that. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to keep the messages here so I can see them, and hopefully you guys are able to see. Okay, so let me just go to the next page. Okay, so Kundalini energy. So when I think I was about 2-3 months from going, I was busy cleaning my bookshelf and dusting my bookshelf, and this book fell on my head, out of like literally fell out of the bookshelf onto my head. And I was like, okay, what's this about? Obviously, pick it up. It's obviously something I need to look at. And it was called The Serpent of Light by Drunvalo Melchizedek. So I bought this book back in like 2017. I think because I still had the receipt in there. And I remember reading it, and I think I read it and it was cool, but that was it. So I kind of put it away and I didn't do anything about it. And the book fell on me, and I was like, okay, I need to read this. Something inside me said, read the book. And like, I like the way the guy writes. It's really easy. I struggle a bit with his other, like, more scientific books, but this was like a story. So I really enjoyed that. So I read the book again. Oh, Claire, someone just gifted it to me. Claire, read it, babe. Definitely read it. Okay, so I started reading the book, and as the book starts, it talks about the shift of the Kundalini energy of the earth. Okay, so I'm not going to spoil it for you, Claire. There's other stuff in there as well, but this is just relevant to my talk. But basically, it talks about how the Kundalini energy of the earth used to be in Tibet. And now, with this whole new movement and time that we've now got the new 26,000 years, like 2012, all of that energy is moving to South America. And they've established that energy has moved to like Lake Titicaca and all of that, and it's gone there. Okay, and this all started just before 2012, and then it started happening. Now, at the time, I think I was in Peru. Like, I wasn't ready to get the information that I was ready to get now. Like, I'm like just was very clear to me. I was at Lake Titicaca, obviously got what I needed there from certain things. But when I read this book again now, I was like, okay, this is it. This Kundalini energy moving, me being ready in myself now to get the information that I need to get from the earth, having a much deeper relationship, because my relationship with the earth really only started when I went to Peru. And now I feel like, me and her, we're tight. We kind of like, we like each other. We know what we're doing. Like, we're working together. So when I read this book now and I saw this Kundalini energy and like how important it is, and all the information about South America, what needs to come out of there, again, being put out into the world, it just made sense to me as to why I'm going. And one of the things, and for me, is like, I've always struggled with integrating the top part of my body and the bottom part of my body, right? So I kind of feel like, as a spiritual person, I've spent a very long time living up here. So you guys know that I've done a lot of work with like star seeds, and my journey really started with the stars, right? So I kind of went like wrong way up, where I started from there, pulling the information and getting all the star information, but I never connected properly to earth. And now in the last 6-7 years, I've really started deepening my relationship with the earth, really started like working with the earth, started to work with the bottom of my body, my legs and everything, so that I could ground back into the earth and start to do the work that I know I'm meant to do here with the earth. So part of my journey has always been this disparate, like, I felt like it wasn't integrated. I mean, the energy runs through, but it never felt 100% right. And even up until December, I was still like going in there and like working on everything, but it didn't feel 100% aligned. So now the next thing is basically just to take you guys into what happened for us there. Okay, so we then ended up on I think it was around about the 4th, we had a sweat lodge. Now, I've been wanting to do a sweat lodge like for years. This is like basically one of those things that's been so deep in my heart. I'm like, I have to do a sweat lodge. And every time I looked at a place in the UK, I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, it just didn't feel right. And then part of the itinerary was that we would do a sweat lodge there. And I was like, yes, this is absolutely perfect. So they called it a Temescal there. And you can see from the little photo that we've got there, they've got like a dedicated like space that they've built at Amaru for the Temescal, which is really nice. So it's like a beautiful little building, and it's got like a massive, you can see this little green building here on the side. It's got like a place where they make the fire and they put all the stones in and everything. So it's a really beautiful ceremonial space that they've created there, which is absolutely amazing. So that morning that we were doing this, we basically started blessing the stones. And what they do is they work with the 4 elements in their sweat lodge. So it's a bit different. I've never done a Native American sweat lodge, so I don't know how that works. But the way that they do it here in Ecuador is you have 4 different sessions, and every session there's 13 stones, and they call them grandmother stones. And so what we did is we basically blessed 13 times 4 stones. So everyone stood together, everyone blessed the stones, put their intentions in, spoke out their intentions. And sweat lodges are really about like letting go. It's about like big releasing, like just like opening yourself up and letting go. So we then packed all of these beautiful stones out there. So you can see there in the middle, Etzak's busy packing the stones. And then they created a massive fire around it. So this huge fire then burned for the whole day to heat up these stones that we would be using in the sweat lodge. So in that evening, we basically all got together, and I was a bit nervous because I wasn't sure if I could manage the heat. I'm more of a like cold swimming person. I'm not a sauna person. So I was a little bit nervous. So part of our experience was that they gave us San Pedro as well to take going into the lodge, which I'd never taken before. And basically, it was like a powder that we had with a tea, and that is what's used to connect you to nature, to calm you down. So I was quite grateful for that because I didn't feel so anxious going into this really hot space for I don't know how many hours we were in there, but it felt like forever. But I was like, I was okay, so I could manage this. And so we started the session. Everyone went in together. The women were sat on one side, the men were sat on the other side. And then there was a pit in the middle where the stones would go in. And then we had the people sitting around who was leading the ceremony. And Jose was the person who was basically, he's what they call the fire keeper. So it was really cool how they set it up, because you'd have the fire over there and they made a little channel, and they explained to us that we shouldn't cross it because there's literally like a stream of energy that runs between the fire and where the lodge is, the entrance of the lodge. So what would happen is that they would then get one of the younger guys, he would be passing the stones on, and Jose would take these beautiful antlers that he'd been given, and he would place the stones into the center of the sweat lodge. And so as we then like ushered the stones in, they had this beautiful song called it's called Abuelita something something in Spanish, but basically the song is all about like inviting in the grandmother stones. So you sing to the stones as they come into the space to bless the stones and to say thank you to the stones. And these 13 grandmother stones would then come into the space, and then they'd place water on it, and then you'd start with the sweating and all of that good stuff. So that was really beautiful. So we went through, the first element that we worked with was air, and that was amazing. And everything was okay. I mean, you get really sweaty, and like you're sat on the grass, and they had big leaves that we were sitting on. But you know, it gets like quite muddy and messy in there. And that was really amazing. And everyone was singing and reciting poems or sharing like channelings and all sorts of beautiful things. So it had the atmosphere, this beautiful festive atmosphere, and like the singing really helped, and you were kind of like in the moment. And after every single session, then you'd be allowed to go out if you wanted to, and then they start preparing the next element and the stones for the next element. So I went out, and then I came back in, and the next one that we did was water. Now water was absolutely beautiful, and I'd imagined, oh, I'd probably be a little bit like emotional or whatever, but water brought so much joy. I was just in the space where I was like really joyful and happy, and it just felt amazing. And the dragons then started coming in, and the energy of the dragons, and I was like, whoa, this is so weird, like why are the dragons here? And so I could start channeling the dragons, and so that was really beautiful for me. And I was quite surprised by that because I wasn't expecting to work with the dragons in this space, but I was like, cool, I'm just going to let it happen. And so after I finished the water section, I went outside, and I was just on this real high, and I'm like, oh, I'm so happy. This is so fabulous. Everything feels so good. And because I was so hot, I just found myself lying down on the earth. So I was face down, planting myself on the grass there. And I just breathed, and I lay there, and I just relaxed. And then all of a sudden, I was like, oh, my body's so uncomfortable. Something feels weird. Something feels off. I don't know what's going on. And as I started to like just move myself, put myself into child's pose, like into the yoga pose, and I'm like moving my body, and the back, where my coccyx was like really stiff, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And then Paige, one of the women who was one of the keepers in the sweat lodge, she came to me and she placed her hand on my back and she's like, "What is this, Yolandi?" And I was just like, "Oh no, something needs to come out. Like something in my body needs to be released right now, and I need to birth this out." And I could feel my jaw tightening, and like my whole body was literally like wriggling and in like extreme pain. And I just went through this whole process of literally like birthing this like dark energy out of my coccyx, out of my spine, because I could see, like my guides were showing me, it was like a channel, and part of my channel wasn't fully open. So the reason I couldn't feel my legs and work with my legs properly during my spiritual work that I was doing was because of this block that was there. And during that time, and very as painful as it was, and the screaming and everything that happened, I basically birthed that out. And it like felt incredible. And it was really like this massive relief. It was like my whole body just went, like everything just came together. And it's like then gave me these huge big stones. And he was like, "Yolandi, you need to push your energy into these stones. Like all of the energy that's not needed in your body right now needs to go into these stones." And so I pushed all of the energy in there. And that's one of the ways that the shamans get people to release negative energy, is through the stones. And so as I moved all of that energy out, we placed it into the fire and I properly released all of it and the past life stuff and everything. And I just left it there and I gave it back to the fire. And then I got back into the sweat lodge, and we were then starting with fire. The next element was fire. And as the water went on there, and like I could feel the water on my skin, and it was literally like it was burning all of the negative energy off of my body. And thanks, Charmaine, it was really powerful. And I could just like feel like all of this just like leaving. And it was like my voice came back. It was somehow the energy in my body, this clarity within this like the center channel of my body. It was like my voice just returned. And it was one of the most powerful experiences. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. I can do this. My voice is like ready to be heard again. And so this ensued in a lot of singing and channeling and just like more light language coming through and all of that. And I was really grateful for that. And then as we stepped into the very, very last element was earth. And as I sat down on the earth, I was like, okay. And I could feel the energy from the earth, like wanting to come into my body. And I was just like, guys, I can't do this right now. I'm way too tired. Like I've just birthed all this crap out and I just can't do this right now. So we can do this another time, please. And I was just like, please, I just need to be in my body right now. I just need to like, just not do this. And it was great. So it was like, kind of like, okay, back off energies. Like I just need to integrate everything that's happened now because it was such a huge shift for me. So yeah, so that was basically the sweat lodge. And it was one of the most powerful experiences that I think I've ever had in my life. And that release was also that intentions being set, the rituals that we followed, all of it. It just felt like everything made it so much easier to get to that point of release, to just allow it all to go. And I never realized how much I actually love people doing ritual and ceremony until I got there, because everything is beautiful. Like people use flowers and they use like processes and rituals and stuff to, you know, facilitate healing, which is something I've never done myself. And I was just like, oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. Like I really want to start doing this. So it's something that I'm incorporating into my life now to really like connect with ritual, because ritual is powerful. And our brains, when we give meaning to something and intention setting and all of that, it changes it, right? It makes it accessible. It makes it like your body and everything in you works together. So that was really beautiful. Okay, so that was basically the sweat lodge. Sorry, I just want to check if there's anything else. Okay. Right. So it was like a really amazing experience, and I'm very grateful for it. So then the time progressed, and we did like a lot of like learning and stuff like that, and some sightseeing, and that was really amazing, and we just really had a beautiful time. And then we got to meet the Tashila tribe, And these guys live about 3 hours away from Mindo, and in a place called San Domingo. And the man there holding the egg cup, that is Don. Sorry, I just want to move this so you guys can see. I don't know if you can. Okay, so that's Don Manuel, and he is an amazing shaman, and he was there with two other people as well, and they were basically the guys who were going to take us on our first ayahuasca journey. Now, I always have mixed feelings about ayahuasca and about Milani. Oh, all selves made us stay with. Oh, okay, sorry, let me just read this quickly before I go in. So, ritual ceremony also helps the medicine stay with us for an extended period of time. Yes, definitely. And it creates a container for the energy. Yes, definitely. Like, all of that is so true, guys. And I think it's something we need to like look at, right? Like, I don't know, in your practices, in your business, whatever you're doing, like on a spiritual level, like if you do that, it changes the dynamic, it changes the feeling of it all, and it makes it more potent and powerful. I really felt that so much. So anyway, so when we met the tribe, or the people from the tribe came to us here, and they set up their space there. And this was like, I did ayahuasca back in Peru, and I mean, it was an okay experience. I was a little bit underwhelmed by the whole thing, but I realized why. And I'm not here to tell you to go and do plant medicine. Like, this is not the point of my talk at all. I think it's a very personal thing. I think it's also something that is really, like, for me, the meaning behind it has been messed up severely by Westerners. And I think what I saw here is how true Indigenous people do these ceremonies in a way that just feels incredible and connects you to the land and connects you to the plant and everything on a really amazing level. So if you ever choose to do this, just make sure that you do it with the right people and that you do it with the right intentions, because it's a very powerful experience if you get to do it in the right containers. And so this was really a very interesting experience for me, because what happened was we started in the morning and we had Limpia from the shaman. So the shamans basically did a clearing ritual on every single one of us before we started the ceremony. So you walk into the ceremony with your energy field clear, with your intentions set, and you're ready to go in. And not like my ceremony that I had in Peru, where you walk in, you sip the cup and you go sit down. This was really the ceremony behind this, the intentions behind this, the feeling, everything, the energy behind this was completely different to anything that I've experienced before. Okay, let me just see. I see someone's posted something here. Did the teachers have anything to share about the way ayahuasca is being misused? Yeah, so I mean, Itzhak has written quite a few articles and stuff, which I will share in the email with you guys, about like how things have been abused. The thing is, like, we have this ability as Westerners to take the soul out of stuff, right? Like, we make it like wham bam, thank you ma'am. Okay, and this experience with plant medicine is not how it's meant to be. It's meant to be an experience where you immerse yourself in the medicine, you come out and you integrate together as a group. So whatever group you're doing it with, whoever you're doing this with, the intentions needs to be right. There's so much energetically at play. And yeah, so I think it's just like, because we don't honor and respect the plants as they are being respected by the indigenous people, like, it just feels to me it falls short in many ways. And I think, you know, people are looking at this as a quick fix for stuff as well. So plant medicine is just used, like, people go and they'll just be like, okay, I need to do this so I can get an answer, so I can get a quick fix or whatever. And that's not how I feel the plant should be used and how I feel it should be experienced. So I'll send you guys the links about like what the guys have written about like how it is being misused and stuff as well, because I think it's really important. And again, this is all my personal opinion. So okay, this is the first time I've even considered sitting with this medicine. It makes sense and feels much more aligned. Yeah, so I think, Laura, it's just like, you need to make sure that you research properly. if these people are, you know, doing the work behind it. And just do your homework. Don't just go into any old ceremony, because, you know, these spaces, you open up your crown, you open up your energy for any shit to come in. And the thing is, if you're being irresponsible about it, this can be really dangerous. And I think people don't understand how dangerous it can be on a spiritual level. So you need to take that into consideration. So it was really lovely here, because we went through this process of this clearing ritual. Every single one of us got to do this. And, you know, they painted our faces, and they did all these beautiful things to, you know, to bring you into the space. And like, the shaman would do like an egg reading for every single one of us and give us messages and stuff. And these then help you to set your intentions as well. So his message to me was about my path being really clear in my egg reading, and that, like, I know, he said, you know where you are going and you're going on the right path, but you must remember there are many energies that is holding you back. And you need to make sure that you clear those energies, and those are not your energies. They're the energies of other people, which was interesting for me, because I was like, I haven't even considered that. You know, we always think, oh, I'm the one who holds myself back. But there's often other energies we have to look at that's holding us back as well. So for me, part of my intention for the ceremony was to get clarity on how do I move forward? How do I expand my energy? How do I expand my light? All of these beautiful things. So that felt really powerful as well. So then in the evening, we all got together, and I don't know if you guys can see the picture, but we had like all of these beautiful candles in the middle. And then we had little chairs, like, well, those like yoga chairs or cushions that you sit on all around. And we all sat down. And then what would happen is that the shaman came around to every single person, and he would like do a clearing on us again. So he basically like had some stones and some other things with him that he did around your body, and then he would give you the cup, and then you would drink. So we all got to drink, and it takes about 40 minutes or so for the medicine to go into your body, and then for you to start just like seeing things. And it was interesting for me, because they spoke to us about like the different types of ayahuasca. So you don't just get one type of ayahuasca, you get various different types of ayahuasca. And the main reason for ayahuasca is to sort out your stomach. So the leaves carry the DMT that makes you see things. But the reason that a lot of the indigenous people drink this plant is for their stomach and their gut health. Okay, which I didn't know at all, and which had never been told to me. So they have like black ayahuasca, red ayahuasca, yellow ayahuasca. And it was interesting, because our shaman said grandfather ayahuasca. So he didn't call it grandmother ayahuasca like everyone else does, but he called our brew that he had made, he called it grandfather ayahuasca. So I was like, oh, I'm going to journey with the grandfather. So depending on the tribes and the plants that they're working with, this is always different. So in my Western mind, it's always been, you know, grandmother ayahuasca, and then we got to journey in this journey with grandfather, which was really cool as well. So then we drank the medicine, and the guys were doing the Icaros. So Icaros is like the music that they play while you're busy on your journey. And you'll see the young guy at the back there with his drums, and they had xylophones and all these like traditional music that they were making, and it was absolutely incredible. And obviously in this big round structure and these drums, and it was a really like heartwarming experience to have this. And so what happened was that they basically then like gave everyone their drinks, and then we sat down and we just listened to the music. So what usually happens is you'll see like it will be black behind your eyes, and then you'll start seeing colors and things will come through. And I was like, okay. And for me it was like it was black, and when I looked, all of a sudden this big dragon, black dragon with red insides, just like came out of the darkness to me in my mind's eye. And I could feel the dragon coming towards me, and I could feel the dragon starting to move around. And I was like, okay, why are the dragons here? I'm just going to go with this. And the dragon then basically started circling around, and the music was going, and I could then feel this energy of the dragon going straight into my body. And as I was sitting there, I could just feel this energy within me moving in my arms and my cells everywhere in my whole body. I could feel the energy moving. And then as I was sitting there, I looked down and I could see this massive green dragon, but it was black and green, coming from underneath the earth. And she was coming up and she came right into my body. And as I sat there, these two dragons started to coil together throughout my entire body. And I had like a massive Kundalini awakening right there. So it was like this energy, and my whole body was vibrating. I was literally shaking like this. And it was incredible because this energy then came together. And I was like, if I hadn't gone through the sweat lodge, if I hadn't gone through that process of releasing the energy, I couldn't have had this experience with these dragons coming in. And it was so beautiful because I had all the other different dragons. So I had all the elemental dragons, the feather dragons, all of that coming through to me, and then like having this experience with them. So it was really beautiful. I got lots of information, and the journey in itself was extremely powerful. I mean, I'd literally never felt anything as potent as that medicine. And it was really amazing just to go through that experience and have that conversation with the plant, and have that conversation just with my soul, basically. So it felt like a really beautiful experience. And the next day was also amazing because we sat in circle and we spoke to the shaman about what we saw, and he was translating our visions for us and explaining it all to us. And so it made it really very potent to be able to be in that space where we started with the same shaman and we ended off with the same shaman, and we could close the ceremony off properly and stuff. So all of that felt really important, because I remember in Peru, it was literally like 2 o'clock in the morning. I got pulled back into a car, driven back, and there was no reverence for the medicine. That is, I think that is the big thing for me. There's no reverence for the medicine and for the shamans and for the work. And so here it just felt like there's so much honoring, there's so much grace, there's so much reverence. And did you drink the 1 cup, or were you offered more? Oh no, Claire, I wasn't gonna have more than 1 cup, babe. 1 cup was more than enough for me. I just look at this stuff and I'm already tripping balls. So anyway, so no, I only had 1 cup. Some people had 2 cups, but I was like, no thanks, that's enough for me. So so after that I had a really good sleep. So so this was basically like a really powerful experience for me, and it started like a big shift in me. And I realized also while I was there, just like the importance of the dragons again. Like it's just like when you go on a journey like this and they show up like that, it means that there's a message for me to start working with them more intently, more. And so it was really beautiful because it's like they kind of kicked my ass that evening and were like, okay, Yolandi, come on, you need to do this now. You need to start talking about us more. You need to do this more. And that kind of solidified it in my heart. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm here. I'll show up. I'll do what I need to do. It's all good. And then one of my dear friends, Year of the Dragon, exactly, Cleo, Year of the Dragon, like I'm right on time, right? So, and one of my dear friends from the trip, actually last night when I spoke to her, she said that one of the things that her teacher, so she's studying Peruvian and shamanism, and the teacher had said to them in the last week that the combination of the serpent, the condor, and the jaguar creates the dragon. And I was like, bush, that was so cool. So it's like this amazing, so those are the three power animals of the south, and those three animals together create the dragon. Okay, so it's just like, there it is, it's all in plain sight. Okay, Terry, it sounds like so many ceremonies let me just are done in commercial mode to get as many people through it as possible. Exactly, Terry. And I think that's the thing. If you guys are ever like, if you ever consider doing this or whatever, please just do your homework. Please just see that it's not just a factory. Okay, this sounds so beautiful. I'm glad they offer it. Yeah, no, this was really like, I think it sucks work, our tour leader, with the indigenous people in Ecuador, and his respect for them and their respect for him as well, which really touched me, was really amazing, because this man has spent 30 years of like cultivating relationships with the shamans there and gaining their trust and really like creating a beautiful connection with them. So that felt really important. Sorry, I'm just realizing I have no idea what time it is and I'm talking like a crazy person. Okay. Okay. They are tourist traps. Yes, exactly. I'm with you. Okay, so now I'm going to speed it up and just be really quick about this. Okay, so we then went to the jungle. Okay, we flew to Koka, which is a little city near the jungle, and then we drove about 2.5 hours down to the Agua Rica River. And then from there we took a like a big canoe with a motorboat thing on the back, and then we basically got onto canoe and we went to the family house. So we were privileged enough to stay with a local family who still are honoring the Yahe traditions of the land there. And Yahe is another like type of ayahuasca as well. It's called water ayahuasca, and this is like traditions um, from the Amazon that has basically died out. Okay, these people who are living next to this river, who carry on these traditions, they were displaced, so they were living where Peru and Ecuador, where the borders were. They were living there, and then in the like I think was it the 60s or so, there were massive wars and stuff, and they basically had to move down the river and find alternative accommodation. And so they are now settled over there. They've been there for many, many years, and they're living there now. And they literally just about, I think, 2 months ago, found out that they can go back to their ancestral lands. So the Psychopai is the people who live there, and they are now able to actually go and reclaim the land that was taken by the military and go back and settle where their ancestors are from. So the people who we stayed with are originally from more up north, but they've now settled there, and then now they have the opportunity basically to go back home after all these years. So it's really beautiful. Okay, so it was quite an experience coming here. The simplicity of life is huge. Like it's just like it was so interesting. There's no running water, there's no toilets, there's no showers, there's no nothing. It's just like it's basically back to basics in the biggest bestest way ever, right? I didn't wash my hands for like a week. I didn't see myself in a mirror for like a week. I bathed in the river with everyone together. We washed our clothes in the river. It was a really humbling experience, and to see how people can just live so comfortably and so happy with so little. Okay, and it's just like, and they have everything that they need. There's enough food, there's everything that you need, there's all the plants are there, the like the fruits there, the stuff that they need to eat, everything is there. And it doesn't need to be complicated. And it just made me think about like all the shit that I have in my house, and I'm going, everything is like there's a this for this and a this for this, and there it's literally there's like a stove and there's like a basin, and that's it, right? Like there's no microwaves and vacuum cleaners and blah blah blah, and it's just ridiculous. So yeah, when you actually just start thinking about the stuff that we have, it's really overwhelming actually. So we stayed in this structure here. So we were 15 people, so 10 of us stayed together here, 3 guys, 7 girls. And we had like you had a blow up bed, and then you had a mosquito net across it. And that's where we slept. So if you wanted to get dressed, you tell the boys to turn around, quickly put your clothes on, and then they were just like, okay, fine, now we're all good again. We all literally bathed together there in our cozies like for a week long. So I was quite happy to be able to wash my feet properly, because you're in the mud, you can never wash your feet properly. And we had good fun, and that the act of being in community and like being in the water with other people and chatting and doing our washing, and like washing the other person's back or doing someone's hair and getting the soap out in the muddy water and stuff, it brought us so close together, and it was really beautiful because everyone missed it after we left. Like all the girls are like, oh, we just want to go into the river again and sit together and chat, because it had that real community feel. And I just imagined what it must have been like many, many eons ago, when people used to live in tribes together and like they would do this stuff together, and it really opens your heart. So it's really beautiful. And yeah, and you just get used to it so quickly. You just don't worry about putting makeup on or like even moisturizer because it's so damn hot there, and it's just like everything is completely different. Okay, so this was the house where the family stayed on the left there. That is Don Basilio, the old man there. He's 83 years old. He looks incredible. And he was busy weaving some palm fronds together there. They literally, it's amazing. They get these palms and then they make like hammocks from it and baskets from it and all sorts of stuff. And that's what they do because they don't have TV and they don't have to worry about bullshit. So they get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and start like, weaving stuff and chatting about the day. And there's none of this pressure about like planning forward, because if it's raining today, we're not doing this. If it's not raining today, we're doing that. And that's it. So, and I laughed because Shannon, did you get to learn how to weave? Oh my goodness, no, Melissa. That's like years of experience. His kids don't even know how to do that. There's only a few of them, so it's like really quite cool. So Shannon asked one of the boys, because we went to the big tree, the one that I used for the advert. So it's the big mother tree. And she asked the boys who went with us on the day when we walked into the jungle, like, so when do you guys go fishing? And he's like, when we need to. And she's like, but when do you go? And he's like, when we need to. And this kid couldn't understand that we thought you'd go fishing on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. It's just like, when we need to go fishing, we go fishing. When we need to do this, we do this. So our Western minds are so much in that space of like plan, and like, forward thinking. These guys are like, today I need fish, I'll go fishing. Tomorrow I need to go and chop some trees, I'll go chop some trees. So it's a completely different mindset, which is so refreshing to see as well. Okay, so, damn, okay. The Yahe, right. So this was now part of their traditions is Yahe, is the water ayahuasca. And I must admit, I didn't realize when I looked at the itinerary exactly what this was. I was in a hurry and I didn't think to go back, and I didn't realize that we would be journeying with Yahe when we were there. And Yahe is obviously, as I said, another name for ayahuasca. And part of their traditions are there that they start the kids off at age of 8 to drink Yahe. So the kids are drinking the medicine, the plant medicine, from the age of 8. And these kids are like amazing. I mean, you look at us Western people with all our trauma and everything, and we just, like we go through these things. And the children there and the young people, this is what they do. This is their traditions. They start at that age and they live like that. And it's absolutely incredible to see how clear-minded these people are, how focused they are. Like everything is like really incredible. So the tradition there is basically that you spend 2 days going through a clearing ceremony. So you drink the medicine so that you can purge. So it's a very diluted quantity. So it's very watery, and you basically drink that and you use that to purge. And then you have a ceremony towards the end of the week where you then drink a more concentrated potion that has got all the different leaves. So they have extra leaves that they place in theirs, and then you basically drink that. So I'm not going to go into too much of like how we did all of that, just because we're running out of time now. But the one thing that came out very clearly for me as part of this was that our bodies are so important to the spiritual work that we're doing at this point in time. And how the plant and showed me like how she was restructuring things in my body and just helping me to clear out old things and all physical things. So it was very body orientated. Journeying with this plant was completely different to the other one. And it was really just to get rid of like the water in my body and the stuff that didn't serve me anymore. And I felt like by the time that I left, like I had literally rewoven my whole body through the experience with the medicine. So when I came back, like I went back to my aerial yoga classes and I was like so much stronger, and like my physical body just feels different. I came back, people were like, oh, you look different, your eyes are different, blah, blah, blah. So the physical aspects of working with the medicine for me was really important. I think for everyone it's different. So depending on where you're at and what you need to do, like, you'll get different messages, you'll work with different things. But for me, it was like really that connection between my mind and my body, and the spiritual energies that we are now working with is really important. And so clearing out those channels within my body, opening my body up for receiving more energy in, so that I can do my work properly, my spiritual energetic work properly, has really been a massive, massive part of my lessons here and part of my learning here as well. And just, doing it with the amount of honor and the amount of reverence that these guys give to the medicine is just absolutely beautiful. And part of the process is that you basically go through, when you do the Yahe ceremony after the days of purging. So this was us going on the purges. So you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you start, and then you basically go and you get the bowl and like you purge and everything, and then you rest. So you do that for 2 nights in a row. So every night we got up at 3 o'clock in the dark through the jungle to the Yahe house, which is a beautiful house there, and you have your little hammock. And this is me and my friend Petra just having a little regroup after our ceremony and having a chat. And so you spend like basically your evening, the rest of your evening in the hammocks, and we sleep there. And then we take a few days off, and then we started our ceremony on Friday. So to do our ceremony on the Friday, you'll see that they painted our faces. So the women of the tribe basically decide what you get on your face. So they give the tone for what your intention is, and they put flowers on my face. So it was really interesting for me, because joy has always been a big thing for me and something that I've been working with, and flowers bring me a lot of joy. And so it was interesting for me, every single night that I journeyed, they would put the flowers on my face. And so you put jewelry on, they made us those traditional skirts that we were all wearing. And so basically, and the men got like traditional dresses that they wore as well. So everyone got traditional wear, faces painted, like beautiful jewelry on, all of that. So you were ready for the ceremony. Earlier in that day also, we had like what they call a flower bath. So we took flowers from the jungle, and we infused the water with that, and then they would clean your energy with a flower bath. So that was really beautiful. I got to lead the ceremony for just basically blessing the water and like singing with the women around, and like just infusing that energy, that clearing, loving energy into the water was really special for me as well. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so one of the big things that came out for me from this was the web of light. So one of the things that the medicine showed me, it showed me my heart, and it showed me other people, right? So it showed all of the people around me. And it said to me that the minute that I am placing judgment on other people, where I have different feelings about people, negative feelings, etc., I'm eroding this connection that I have with them. I'm stopping this like web of light that we have. And the fact that I'm needing to drop into my heart, take out the judgment out of my heart, and replace that with something else, right? So I can replace it with love. Okay, so if I start doing this, that web of light gets strengthened between me and the people around me. And part of what we are doing right now is we are recreating this web of light around the entire earth. So if we're holding judgment, if we're holding like ill feelings or hatred or whatever towards other people, we're eroding this web of light. And our job is really to stand in our heart power. And I could see this beautiful connection with all of the people that was on my tour. And I could see like how if I just have compassion for people, if I send love to people, whatever it is, then basically we're changing the way that we're interacting with each other. Okay, which is vital for surviving on this planet. So this web of light felt like such a big thing. And it was also about becoming bigger than the issues that we have with people. Okay, forgiveness for other people, starting to understand that like everything I hold here is eroding that web. Okay, all of the negative, like dark energies that I have within my heart for others, for other things, this all messes with this beautiful web of light that we're trying to weave together. Okay, so that felt really, really potent and was a big message for me during this trip. And our bodies in the higher realms. So what my guides showed me is they said to me that we're moving into higher realms now. We've spent so much time in the fifth dimension, but there's other realms available to us. Okay, and our bodies is our vehicle to get to those realms. And also our fears and all of those things hold us back from stepping into those realms. So what are you doing to be brave enough to go to the next level of the realms? Okay, they clearly showed me that like we're standing on the precipice, but we're all too scared to jump. We're all too scared to get to the next level, to go and see what is there in the darkness, in the unknown. And this is now our time. And we use our bodies as the vehicles to do that. So looking after ourselves, like how we interact with our bodies, like what do we put into it? How do we work with the energies in our bodies? What can we take into our bodies? All of that is so vital for us to make this next step, to go into the next dimensions that we are meant to be going into, because this is the time that we're moving into right now. Okay, so these things are all really, really important. Yeah, so I'm going to stop there now and just see if you guys have got any other questions. Okay, because I know I've already kept you longer than I said I would. Okay, so any other questions? Anything else? Okay, cool. So that was basically just, yeah, that was like just a very quick, how did it feel to come back? Oh, clear. So, babe, it was interesting, um, because being in the airport that first day, I was just like, what the actual fuck? It was like all these people and everything was just so fast, and I felt really overwhelmed. But I had like a long journey back home, right? It took me 24 hours to come home. And I just like, you kind of just sink, you have to just sink back into it. And the thing about keeping my heart open, that was huge for me, because it was like, am I going to judge like all of this mental crazy ass energy of like, how we live, how mad society is, the stuff we do, or am I just going to be in my heart about this? So that felt really important. Like, it was like being in my heart rescued me from going completely crazy coming back home. So yeah, so it was really interesting for me just to um and to use the toilet again, and to be able to like wash my hands, because I love washing my hands, and I'm like, I can't fucking wash my hands, and seeing my face again and stuff was really cool. And I really did miss my family as well when I was there, because a lot of my journey was like, just showing me my relationship with my husband and my son and stuff, and it was really beautiful. So I missed their little faces, so it was really nice coming home to them as well, which meant a lot. Sorry, I saw there was another few questions. Okay, something. Oh, cool, Steph. I'm glad, babe. It's a pleasure for sharing. Big thank you. Oh, cool. Okay, let me just see. Sorry, guys. I'm not very good at this stuff. Thank you for sharing. Oh, thanks, guys. Thank you. Da 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 da. Okay, great. So, yeah, if you guys have any questions or whatever, and you want to just mail me, that's really cool. I'm always happy to answer anything. And thank you for listening. And I'm just glad I could get to share this with you guys. I really, yeah, I just thought I needed to tell people about like what this was all about. And so yeah, so it was a real life-changing experience for me. And and I'm so glad like I got to meet Itzhak and them, because it's a completely different new group of people, which was beautiful as well. And I just, yeah, I love the reverence and the love that they have for that place. So I'll definitely be going back there. And I'll let you guys know when I go. So if you ever want to make your way there. Okay, so have a beautiful, beautiful evening. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. It was awesome to see you guys. And yeah, just have a good day, and I'll speak to you again soon. Thank you.
Bye.